Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Iain McCaskey, Head of Devolved Nations for BESA. The session is about knowledge is king, mainly around the BESA publications. And with me today is I'll go round in the way that I look on my screen. I've got Fletcher, President-elect, BESA and Fife Council, Phillipe de Wilde from Roperhurst, Roland Ferry from Duckthorn HFC, and also Mark Oates, the Association Secretary and also the main person for coordinate the publications within BESA. Thank you for coming along. There's the opportunity to ask questions, as you know from probably previous sessions. Really, one of the things that I was quite keen to actually do this session on is that over COVID, the 18 months that I was confined to barracks, one of the things with conversations with BESA members, I've now been in BESA coming up for 6 years. And one of the things that over the conversations with BESA members was critical was the publications that BESA produce and the importance and the relevance to that effect. So one of the things what I wanted to do today in the short period of time that we have got is to I invited these people personally to come on to actually give you their experience and why it's so important that we work hard, and also what the importance of the publications. So one of the first people I want to go to is Fletcher. Is really for Rav to give a bit of background of what Fife Council does and the importance that they put on it's only BESA members that they work for with, and why, and what the publications brings to you. Over to you, Rav.
Well, thank you, Iain. Just to catch on to what Iain's saying, that Fife Council made a decision probably 5 years ago now, where we decided through our PPQ process, that any contractor tendering for our mechanical works in the heavier industry, the commercial side, had to be a BESA member or equivalent. Now, we all know that there isn't an equivalent, so you had to be a BESA member. It took us maybe almost 2 years of pain to get to that stage, to bat away some contractors who didn't quite make the cut, if you like. And what we use BESA for, or it's maybe the wrong terminology, what we get from BESA is they do our filtering process for us. They bring the good contractors to the forefront, the contractors who are compliant, and the contractors that can do what they say they can do. So that was our initial investment, if you like, and interest in BESA. But certainly over the course of the pandemic, the assistance and help that we've had for BESA has been second to none, especially through these webinars. It started off almost daily. I think it was daily when David was putting them out. They were great for information. These then came on to where we utilised these in our forums, and we subsequently run a local authority forum. It was running 5 years yesterday. Yesterday was its 5th birthday. And it started off with 3 councils up to the stage where we had about 12. We attendees roughly around about 25. And yesterday we were up in Glenoffice at the Duckthorn facility to get a tour and what have you. And it was ace. And what we found for the forums over the time was we were having them virtually daily at one point, even on the local authority, because the information coming from local government and central government was a bit woolly. There wasn't a lot coming out, and we had a lot of questions that needed answered urgently to get commercial buildings back open for staff and school pupils and what have you. And the BESA staff came onto these platforms, and they gave us information on a daily basis, and it was crystal clear information, it was factual, and people left with the information that they were looking for. And they all knew that should that information change in the next 24 hours, they would then catch it the following day at the next forum. So it was always like a live update. It was like the old CFAX from back in Iain's day. So that's what we took for that, and that's kind of stuck there. Granted, we're now doing the catch-ups maybe weekly or monthly, but the information's still live, and we've got contacts for all the BESA staff and affiliate contractors that we can get in touch with to get live information as we require it.
I think that's a good point, and I think even yesterday, and when Roland comes in, is yesterday some of the questions from the local authorities about where fire dampers and Roland's knowledge of what the BESA publications and what we've got printed in there which has been pulled together by people like Roland, Phillipe, and a whole raft of members around the specialist groups, which I'm sure Marco will speak about as well. Is that's where that knowledge comes from, and it's one of these things I always believe, and I've seen it, and I've seen Roland with some of these experiments to actually prove a point in his factory that he's actually demoed out, and he's laughing because I remember seeing it last year, is actually to prove a point that the publication needed reviewed, and it needed that kind of, and just analyze what was actually there, and to actually make sure that what we have is accurate and correct. And it's not, it is done from members for members, and I think that's the most important part for me, is to enable everybody to work from the same platform. And for the clients like RAB, is to make sure that, if it is a BESA member, they're working to the industry standards, they're working to the same baseline. It will be other things that differentiate that organisation, but everybody's working to that one platform, and I think that's important. Thanks, Rab. Phillipe, can I ask you, because I know I only really recently took over Wales as part of my remit, and one of the first people that I touched base with was yourself, and I remember very vividly the conversations about why do people not use the BESA publication standards within the PPQs. And I know that that's important to you to win work, because it sets you apart from other people. Can you elaborate on that for me, please? And also add in whatever else, again, that you would like to bring up, like Rab. Please, Phillipe.
Sure, thanks, Iain. Well, at Roperhurst, we're specialist plastic engineers. And so from a BESA perspective, where you would normally come across us is for fume extract ductwork. And BESA wrote a standard. In fact, my predecessor in Roperhurst chaired the committee that wrote DW154 back in 2000. And that's been critical in ensuring that there is a base level of quality and competence in the fabrication and installation of plastic ductwork. Now, of course, we know it can be the Wild West out there sometimes, and it's remarkable how many companies haven't read the standard, weren't even aware that it existed. Many of them not aware the BESA exists. As BESA members, we, as one of a few companies that operate in this sector who are BESA members, are audited to the standard. We're able to offer that assurance to our supply chain that what we make for you, what we install for you, meets and exceeds the standards.
I think that I know that, again, you've done a lot of work around videos as well to actually prove what the difference between what you produce and what other people of probably taking slightly shorter cuts to producing good is you, because you're following the standards, you're following that industry agreed principle and criteria.
Well, it's very difficult for our customer base to know good from bad, because ultimately when our product goes into a new build, what they see is grey and plastic, and how do they know whether that's compliant grey and plastic or non-compliant? So yes, we've been putting together a series of videos that will help those people in the supply chain understand where some of the corners are cut and what the implications might be. Obviously, it's plastic for a reason. It's hazardous, it's chemical, it's biological, and you don't want substandard product putting end users at risk.
And I think that, again, I'm sure we'll probably touch on this, but the new Building Safety Act that's coming in via Westminster, and I know that the devolved nations have their own building regs, but there is no devolved nation at this moment in time that said that they're not going to look at them seriously and then adapt accordingly going forward. But it's one of the things that allows you as a BESA member to reach out to other BESA members to say, we are doing it to the industry standard, your association standard, and then that allows them to have the confidence going forward that they know that they're getting that product to what it should be. And I know that that's one of the things that, again, when I met Roland as well, is the fact is that Roland can recite almost every line of the documentation. I think he's gone over it God knows how many times, and it just baffled me with what paragraph and what page and what reference point he was referring to. So again, Roland, it was interesting yesterday at Duck Forum when the councils were asking, and you were quoting, just the dimensions, the sizes, and things like that. And I know that that's one of your passions as well. That people should be operating to the same, the same criteria, the same baseline.
I would agree. I think one of the problems we have when it comes to not just ductwork in general, but more specifically fire-rated ductwork and dampers, is that there's a lack of knowledge at the design stage from consultants, where they would just put a note, ductwork to be fire-rated. It doesn't mean anything. We need to know in minutes and time integrity and insulation criteria, if it's a kitchen, if it's a smoke duct, all these things are important. There is no 144 specification for fire duct because there is so many different products in the marketplace, but they are all robustly tested to the Iain standards. But I think till this gets to the consultants get up to speed in this, it will still leave to some dubiety out in the marketplace what somebody's actually getting.
And I think that you make a good point there, and I know that probably Phillipe's is probably curling his toenails and his fingernails at this point in time. Is one of the things again that I know yourself and Phillipe frustrates you to beyond belief. I was going to use some other word, but I won't. Is that it's not these managing consultants and the clients don't in their PPQs have the right actual numbers and reference and quotations. Phillipe, I know that you've worked with our specifier, Maria Driver, hugely on this, and you've seen some success. Could you highlight some of the what you know that we've actually managed to do and what Maria's excellent work's done?
Yeah, Maria's doing a great job of picking up on comments that we and others are making about specifications where we see things that are wrong, and then taking that back to the consultants and getting the specifications reissued. But a couple of examples that I wrote down of what's happened in the last couple of weeks. In one instance, ductwork was required to follow DW151. Well, that was withdrawn in 2000. And in another one, ductwork was supposed to follow EN 1401, which is a standard for PVC underground piping. So we know that consultants, some of them will forgive me for saying they copy and paste sometimes from previous specifications, and they need this feedback from people like Maria in BESA, because we all want to improve. We all want to get better, and we won't do that unless we're open to that level of feedback and be prepared to make change.
No, I think that's excellent. Thank you for giving those examples, because I know that that's exactly the same for Roland as well. If every managing consultant client had the right specification in there, it would actually win even more work for BESA members, and I think that that's important. And I've been working with Fez over probably the last year now, and one of the things that they're very keen to do is, where possible, is to actually employ, and exactly what Rab's demonstrated at the very beginning of the call was that they are looking for BESA members, because they then know that BESA member has been through the audit process and has been not tested, but they know that they're compliant with the correct work, they're working to the right standard, they've got the right publications within their organisation, and their engineers and project managers and alike are all working to the current actual publication. And I think that can't be emphasised enough for people with BESA to know that all our members are of that same benchmark. There's a level, there's that benchmark, and obviously people go beyond that for other things, but for the industry standards, that's what we audit against, and that's why the publications are so important. On that, I'm going to bring in Mark Oates to ask Mark. I know that some of the stuff that recently has been published, but you'll have a better understanding of what's ongoing at this moment in time. And I know that you said you wanted to make a couple of points as well. We're about, if Mark and I did it last year, is actually publish a full listing of the publications. And I think that probably is now slightly out of date. And I know that we've had this coming up, and marketing have been extremely busy. But one of the things we want to do is update that document. Is there anything else? Again, Mark, over to you, to highlight how members can get involved, and also just what's coming down the line.
Okay, thanks very much, Iain. First of all, I just want to say it's great to be on a panel with members who are so enthusiastic about BESA publications as I am, really. And insight doesn't come naturally. It comes from an accumulation of knowledge and experiences, and we're really lucky in BESA that we have so many members who want to come together and talk about the issues and to share their knowledge, to produce guidance which is useful to them, which is the whole point, really. A couple of examples of that is we had a session this morning on TR60 and the water management plan, and that originally came from a request from the insurance companies to member companies to have something in place. So members came together, they talked about the issues, they produced the guidance, and now we've published it, and we have something that members find useful, they can use, and it also fulfills the requirements of the insurance companies, and that's a perfect example of how we deal with publications in BESA. Another example is we've got the first meeting of the BESA offsite group next week. That was from a direct request from members, and we have a group of members coming together to talk about defining common terminologies and language in offsite, to define clear, sort of quantifiable and measurable benefits of offsite, and to develop a sort of rules of thumb and design criteria that consultants can use in the early stages of design, and that's another example of how members have driven that need. We've also talked about specifying, and we look at publications these days not just as a standalone thing, but we also look at the publication to see if there's a training course that can be included, or where relevant, a certification scheme. And TR19 Greece and TR19 Air are perfect examples of that, and that helps membership sort of go out there, and that whole package to sort of help with specifying members in the long term. So yeah, it's great. I can't emphasize enough how important it is for members to get involved in drafting those publications, or get involved in the specialist groups as well. We do have a lot of publications to review, and it's quite a lot of work. The most critical ones at the moment are the suite of documents in the TR20 range, which is about installation of pipework, and we're doing that in collaboration with the BMTFA, and that's really to help with the Pipe Plus app that we're hoping to launch at the end of this year. And incidentally, there's a session on that tomorrow at 3 o'clock if people want to join that. We're also looking at TR6 about pressure testing of pipework, TR5 around welding of pipework, and a couple of other critical publications we're looking at the moment is obviously DW145, which has been mentioned, about the installation of fire dampers, and also DW154, which I know Phillipe would be glad to see come out very soon. So we're looking at those as well at the moment. But it's quite a lot of work to do, and we're getting there, and it's with the help of members that we're getting those publications out into the marketplace. That's great. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mark. And I think one of the things one question I've got for you is, how many standards do we have? I think when I counted, there was around, I could be wrong, but around about 30 main ones. Is that close, or is it way beyond that?
I think in the last count there were about 100 publications.
There we go.
We're actually going, we're working through them to see what are the most relevant, what are being used and what are not being used, whether there's a need to review them or just to withdraw them. So we are sort of consolidating quite a lot. But all the publications, as has been said already, that most of the publications, in fact, all the publications are produced by members, are drafted by members. So it's really what they want, whether there's a need for it and what they want, in their own businesses, and that's what we act upon. So any suggestions for new publications, then please let us know, and we'll act upon that.
And I think it's one of these things as well. I think it's one of these things, Mark, as well, that it doesn't have to be the managing director or any director. It could be an excellent opportunity for a young engineer just to get involved and actually listen. And I know even in Roperhurst, I know it's not Phillipe that sits on every every committee on something like this. It is, and I know Roland as well extends it out to other people within his organisation. It's a great way for a young engineer to, and in that management, or come off the tools and come in, and actually, they're the people who have been at the coalface, and it gives them the opportunity to really start, understanding, what the direction of travel for their future as much as anything else. And it is open to everyone. And most of it, if I'm right in saying, most of the meetings, probably the specialist groups meet 3 times a year for about 2 hours. And with now that they don't have to be physically in our offices, they can be in a blended situation going forward. That's a huge opportunity. Where would they find the opportunity or the details to get involved, and who would they come to you directly, or could it be done through the website?
You can go on the website and find a bit of information about the groups, or come through to me directly, which is probably better. But yeah, I agree. The groups and the drafting groups for the publications, they're perfect examples of how people can get involved. Young people could get involved. The offsite group next week is all people that specialise in offsite. It's not just sort of general, as you say, managed directors or anything like that. It's the specific people who deal with that discipline, and those are the people we're trying to get to actually draft these publications and discuss the issues. So yeah, absolutely.
No, that's fantastic. I'm conscious of time. We haven't had any questions. It's not the most ability to, I'm sure, ask questions. It's more is what is done and what is available. One of the things that I also just anecdotally is that members have come to me to ask, how do I find out more information on such and such? Or I've got a query with this, or I've got a question from the managing consultant, or from the client, or from one of my subbies. I think the real essence and uniqueness, USP, with being a BESA member is that you can actually talk to the person who was the editor, or the person who wrote that paragraph directly, because they're a BESA member. So it is one of these unique situations. So we can put you directly in contact with the person who wrote that paragraph. Or, I mean, there is no question about it. People like Phillipe and Roland would be more than happy to take questions and support people. That's what the BESA community is all about, is actually supporting each other. That's the actual nub of it all. So it's absolutely superb that we've got this opportunity to actually get publications into the BESA conference today. Can I just go back round, and we've got less than 10 minutes, and I was just going to go back round everybody to give them, if they want to make any final point on this. I do appreciate the input that you've all given today. It's been absolutely superb. Can I start off with, I think that was Roland's hand going up there. If not, I'm going to go to Roland anyway. Go to you first, Roland.
Right, yes, thanks. All I'd like to say is, I think the more you put into BESA, the more you're likely to get out of it. The more we've been using you in the last couple of years for information and feedback and getting involved, the more we've got back out the association. And I would strongly advise anybody that's involved in not just our industry, any industry that BESA is involved with, get involved with the association, and you will get more out of it.
I appreciate that. That is very kind of you, Roland. That is superb. You couldn't buy that. Thank you. Phillipe?
Yeah, I think for us, the key message is we've got standards for a reason. BESA publish the standards. BESA members comply with the standards. The only way you're going to get true assurance that you're getting what you think you're getting is by working with a BESA member. And where possible, we'll work with BESA members every day of the week.
And I know that the trials and troubles that you've gone to be on here today, because you're not in your office, you're away from home, and God knows where you're actually doing this from. So that's the level of commitment that you feel about this and passionate about it. So I honestly do appreciate both you and Roland coming on. Rab's got to do it. So there's no option. He's got to do it. He's president-elect. So that goes without saying. Regardless of the fact that he's getting doors installed in his house and his front doors open and he's absolutely freezing, but that's Fife for you. Rab, do you want to come in before I finish off with Mark to say anything from our client perspective or from your perspective on publications?
Absolutely. The publications for me are very, very similar to the forums that we run up in Scotland. We run a number of forums, and I'm a plumber to trade, and we're always very ignorant to other people's trades and specific work streams. And what I would recommend anyone who's on the call today, anyone who's listening, is to look into your regional meetings, look into your forums, look into the bulletins and the technical updates that are available, and read into other trades. And it gives you an awareness of why, who, what, where, and when these people and industries have to do what they need to do. It's good reading, and it does give you a better appreciation of other trades and other people's abilities and restrictions. And one other thing that we spoke about earlier on in another event this month, it was upskilling for net zero. And listening to the conversations today, I think we need to start with a wee bit of upskilling within our own industry. As Roland quite rightly said, there's people fitting ductwork, they didn't came with their fitting. There's people fitting pipework, they didn't came with their fitting. All they're doing is following a drawing for someone who we don't quite know that's maybe not qualified to do this design, and we're just rattling in and taking it as status quo and everything's fine. So it's worth doing a bit of research and looking into the current standards.
I think you're right about the crossover. We've seen that in the forums. People who are facilities management, they've come into the finding out, about the ventilation cleaning, and equally about the refrigeration. And refrigeration guys have actually then, it's that knock-on effect. They've come into the facilities management forums. It's just that crossover. It's actually that gives you that somebody a little bit of better understanding of why things are done in a particular way and when they're done in a particular way and what the restrictions are on that sector as well. I know that Phillipe's a classic example of that as well. Very, very niche within a very niche sector that we occupy. So it really does help if you then cross-fertilize your knowledge as much as anything else, because I think that itself will only lend to a better building services sector out there. Definitely. We're just coming up to less than 3 minutes, and I don't want to go over time. So, Mark, can I ask you to have a final say, and then I'll just thank everybody at the end of that. Thank you.
Thanks. I think I just want to echo something that Roland said was about you get out what you put in. The BESA publications aren't produced by BESA staff and imposed on members. They're written by members to help their businesses. So you need to get involved in drafting those standards and do it so that it helps your business on a day-to-day basis. So get involved. That's my final say.
And a lot of them now are obviously digitally, they can be downloaded, and all BESA members get 50%. And the amount of publications that you can go onto the website, the BESA Knowledge, and actually have for free is incredible. So again, I know that when I'm out and about meeting members and going into them and actually explaining what we actually have in the publications, majority of BESA members don't know how much comes as a BESA member for free. I've seen documentations that are way over £100 to somebody that's non-BESA member free, and everybody gets 50% off. But I think it's a huge opportunity for anybody coming into the industry, or anybody that's there that's looking for that, and that information is to actually go and see the BESA Knowledge website within the BESA website. And I think that itself will probably open your eyes to what is actually available. I'm only going to sum up and say thank you very much for the opportunity to actually showcase the publications and our members and what it means to members. And also the fact is that we are in the BESA membership team doing a huge amount to actually get members specified via the publications, because I think that at the end of the day is going to win huge amounts of work for BESA. And also, again, all across the piece that we're doing around training, including the publications in that, and being mindful of that. So thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate the support that you've given me today, and hopefully some people will take something away from this. And Mark's email and telephone number is going to be absolutely red hot as of about 26 seconds. So no, thank you, Phillipe. Thank you, Roland. Thanks, Rab, as always. And Mark, enjoy all these new inquiries. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, guys.